it up, let it start. From block to block, we're snatching hearts and jacking marks. And the punk police can't flex me say, we can have peace someday, G. But right now I got my mind set up. Looking down the barrel of my nine, get up. It's time to make the payback fast. And my brothers at the block, rap, stay strapped, black. And accept no substitutes, I bring truth to the
From deep inside the bowels of the Robinson Gearing Studio Complex and live out of Pawleys Island, South Carolina, this is the Jake Robinson Sports Experience. What is up? It's your boy Jake the Snake back in the house. And how you like that? Baseball is underway, and I mean, really, I can finally say this to you without blowing a lot of smoke up your ass. A lot of things going on in the world of baseball, and we're going to cover every single freaking one of them. What's up? How's it going? It's your boy, half man, half podcast machine, talking classy, acting nasty, and I got to tell you, I'm locked in. I'm ready to go. No, I mean, we're going to get right into it today. I mean, isn't this just like the greatest time of the year? I love this time of the year. I mean, hope springs eternal, and it looks like I mean, just the dreadful winter. And look, I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of times I came on here, and, you know, I'm just hoping to entertain you guys and make the off-season as short as possible. And I had a couple people tell me this week that I was able to do that, and that was really the goal. But now we're in. We're locked and loaded. We're ready to go. And I just cannot wait. It's the Jake Robinson Sports Experience live out of Pawleys Island, South Carolina. And you're listening to the Let's Talk Baseball Podcast Network. And it is just a pleasure to be here. You know, every week is a pleasure. But, I mean, certainly with all the goings-ons, it is definitely that time to, you know, put all the bad feelings aside and all the separate issues that we all may have with one another, and let's get ready for some baseball. So, you know, a lot of things happen. The Twins are making moves. Red Sox, Giants, Orioles, Padres, Snakes, Yanks. You know, the all-free agent team that I established last week, that looks like it's starting to thaw out a little bit. Chunks of ice literally fell off the rotation and the batting order that I presented to you last week. So I'm going to get into that. Kurt Stewart is still up 1-0 over Classy Todd Blassie out of Houston, home of the world champion Houston Astros. That's the LTB umpire challenge. Neither one of them reported to me this week. Doesn't sound like they threw anybody out in their games. So as it stands right now, Kurt Stewart is still up 1-0 over my man Todd in the LTB umpire challenge. JD Hosmer. I mean, I got them baseball red tops, kid. Honestly, I done told you. And them dudes, you know, they got garbage around the way. So you want to definitely tune in here. It's the Jake Robinson Sports Experience. And look, enough with the hoopla, enough with the filler. Let's get right into it. I noticed last week, right when I went on the air, and I didn't have a chance to present this to you, but I realized after the show that one of the all-time great tri-players, John Patsy Tito Francona, died at the age of 84 at his home in New Brighton, Pennsylvania on February 13th, 2018. Now, before there was the current Cleveland manager, Terry Francona, whom we now affectionately call Tito, there was the Tito Sr. And, you know, the elder Tito, he made his major league debut in 1956 with the Baltimore Orioles. Finished the season tied for a second in the AL Rookie of the Year vote. And, look, he had a rough go of it in the beginning. You know, he was kind of knocked around, didn't get a little bit of playing time. Spent the 1958 season between the White Sox and the Tigers. Took advantage of the playing time that he was afforded there in Chicago. And then they sent him off to Cleveland for that. Check it out. They traded him to Cleveland for Larry Doby, the first black American League ball player. I was still a fan favorite, 32 years old. The Cleveland management considered Doby to be old at that time. And Francona was young, and he was just somebody hungry for playing time. And, and the little bit of time that he was getting, he was producing. And the White Sox were really conflicted about whether they were going to send him to the minor leagues or just outright trade him. They wanted to trade him to the Cleveland Indians. And during that 1959 season, Tito's first season in Cleveland, he batted .363 and finished 5th in AL MVP voting. 1960 led the AL in doubles. 61 made an all-star appearance. Now, the Cleveland Indians released a statement. Our heart aches as truly one of the special men in Cleveland Indians history passed away last night. On behalf of the entire Indians organization, our thoughts and prayers are with Terry and the entire Francona family. For a generation of Cleveland fans, Tito was one of the favorites to wear an Indians uniform. It was certainly a joy for the past 5 years watching Tito and Terry be together around the ballpark. He will surely be missed. And I gotta tell you, it kind of bums me out when I do these pre-show obituaries. But in a way, it gives me an understanding of some of these guys that I probably would have never researched the way I had to when you do a show. And I found Tito Francona to be a very fascinating individual. I look back on his high school career. He's a football stud at New Brighton High School, Pennsylvania. Scored over 100 points in his senior year. Led his team to the West Pennsylvania Class A State Championship. Selected All-Star in 1951. Now, despite his success on the gridiron, and, his love and passion was baseball. And he really wasn't feeling the high school baseball situation at the time. They were only playing 9 games a year. So he didn't play high school baseball his junior year and senior year. While he decided to go out and play American Legion ball and a county league team in the, the hills of Pennsylvania. Now, his uncle, John Francona, reached out to the St. Louis Browns about his nephew. The Browns saw him. They offered him a $5,000 bonus and a $250 a month salary. And upon graduation, he reported to York, Pennsylvania, the Browns Class B team in the Central League. And like I said, the reason why I admire Francona is because, there were a lot of roadblocks in this guy's way. And, as a human being, I know this. This happens to me all the time. Roadblocks, I'm sure it happens to you. I'm no different than you. Francona's climb to the system was interrupted when he was drafted into the Army for a 2-year stretch. And while serving duty, the Browns, they moved to Baltimore and became the Orioles. Now, once they became the Orioles, the tall Texan wizard of Waxahachie, Paul Richards, Orioles' first manager, he gives Tito a $6,000 contract and a starting outfield job in Baltimore. But again, here comes these walls in front of him. He gets there. The catcher, Gus Triandos, goes down in an injury. They need to bring up another catcher. It becomes a numbers game. He's demoted. Finally comes back up, and he breaks a bone in his left hand. So, really, in Baltimore, he only really started a handful of games. And the Orioles would eventually deal him to the White Sox. And again, just all these challenges in front of him. He goes to the White Sox. He plays winter ball in Puerto Rico. He gets hepatitis. I mean, just a fascinating story about a person who overcomes everything that is put in front of him, and I respect that. Now, while he's in Puerto Rico, the doctors discover he has an irregular heartbeat. But he finally does get to White Sox training camp. They close him out on his physical. They make sure he's okay. They make sure the ticker's working. And after 41 games, he's shipped to the Detroit Tigers. He bats .254, 1 home run, 20 RBIs, expels as a pinch hitting left-handed stick. And off the bench, he batted 379, 11 for 29 in that role. So he acquired some value in a little bit of time that he was given. Now, like I said, the White Sox were undecided whether they were going to keep him on the roster or whether they were just going to release him. Well, they wound up trading him to Cleveland. And they got Larry Doby back, and they really thought that they got the better end of that deal. And actually, so did some of the Indians fans. So, he gets to the Cleveland Indians. He's not really getting much playing time. And finally, and I love the story about how he finally punches through. On May 1st, 1958, they're in a tight game with the Cleveland Indians. All right, the Cleveland Indians are in a tight game with the New York Yankees. The Yankees manager, Casey Stengel, goes to the bullpen, brings in a right-hander. And the manager of the Indians is looking at his bench, and he just has no idea how to counter this move. And the right-hander that was brought in, Tito stands up and says, I got a hit off of him last time. And the manager says, you're my guy. 6th inning, late in the ball game. It's a 1-1 deadlock. And Tito Franco comes in and smokes the ball over the right field bench, or the right field fence, and it goes on to be the game winner. And from that day on, he had earned his spot. Now, with Tito in the mix, next to Rocky Colavito, Minnie Minoso, Woody Held, Vic Power, Jimmy Pearsall. What a power squad that is. They battled Chicago throughout the whole season. Eventually they would succumb to the Go-Go White Sox. And again, leg injury, costing him playing time. Even though he batted 363, I told you he batted 363 that year, but because of the injuries, he came one at-bat short and qualifying for a batting title. And he would actually lose the batting title to Harvey Keene, who batted 353. But it wasn't no worries. Tito went on. It wasn't like he was a one-year wonder. He batted 292 and 60, led the league with 36 doubles. Next year, batted 301. From 1954 to 1964, he truly captured the hearts and emotion of the Indians. And, the fans, the management, everyone. He was just loved that much. Now, eventually, he would move on to play with the Cards, Phils, Braves, Oakland. Finished his career in 1970 with the Brewers of Milwaukee. In his 15-year MLB career, Tito amassed 650 runs, 1,395 hits, 225 doubles, 34 triples, 125 home runs, 656 RBIs with a slash line of 272, 343, 4-3 in 1,719 games. So, Tito Francona, rest in peace, Godspeed. Time will not dim the glory of your deeds, and you will surely be missed in the hearts and the minds of baseball fans all over, and particularly in Cleveland. What a fascinating individual. I never knew all that about Tito Francona Sr. And it's a shame that somebody's got to die, before you research somebody. And once I started getting caught in his little web of a story there, I just found him to be a fascinating person. So rest in peace, Godspeed, Tito Francona Sr. Now, moving on. I was just rummaging, surfing the web, and I came across the Mark Apple story. And I didn't see too much of it posted this week, but Mark Apple, hometown kid out of Houston, drafted number 1 overall in the MLB draft in 2013 by the Houston Astros. And he spent last year watching many of his former friends and teammates on the Astros winning that World Series championship over the